ladies and gentlemen. Today, we will witness the three dazzling candidates present in their very best and vie for the title Miss World 2022. As this morning fills with full of excitement, we will find out who will be the worthy title holder. I'm Ara Jane Maestre, your host for today's most exciting, most fabulous, and most awaited search for Miss World 2022. Alright, are you ready? Of course, I know you are. At this moment, may I call on Ms. Jasmine Marino to present the highlights of the proceedings. Ms. Jasmine?
Thank you, Ms. Ara. So, here are the highlights for today's event. We will first have an icebreaker by playing jumbled letters. Next, an introduction to be delivered by Mr. Enerjan Atama. Then, the main highlight of this event is the segment called Words of Intellect by our respective candidates. First is about the words and meanings by Ms. Lea Joy Ignacio, followed by the discussion about words and combinations by Ms. Lana Angel Gonzalez, and the techniques for stylistics analysis by Ms. Sophia Rose Marcelo. After the discussion, there will be a Q&A portion to be hosted by Ms. Maris Lorraine Montano.
Thank you, Ms. Jasmine. And now, before I officially introduce to all of you the first candidate, let's break the ice first. Sit back, but never relax your mind as we play a game. You will arrange the jumbled letters. Enjoy!
Good job!
And we're back! I hope you enjoyed working with your mind and somehow got a glimpse about the topics that our candidates will discuss. For now, let's hear first Mr. Energy Natano for his welcome remarks.
As a part of an AB English family, it requires every learner to get educated regarding the significance of learning lexical, semantics, and its correlation with stylistics analysis, as it teaches us how words relate to one another and allow us to add meaning in our daily language.
Thank you, Mr. Atano. The long wait is over. At this juncture, we'll now hear the words of intellect that will be delivered to us by our first candidate. But wait, you should keep in mind that you, the viewers, will serve as the judges. So let me first present to you the criteria for judging. First, clarity of explanation, 40%. Accuracy of information, 40%. And lastly, the pronunciation, that is 20%, for a total of 100%. This is it. Let's welcome candidate number 1, Ms. Lea Joy Ignacio.
So I am going to discuss to you about the words and meanings. So I know that you are all familiar about the concept of semantics because we have the subject during in our second year, right? So but first, we will have a review. So, when we say about semantics, it is a branch of linguistics that studies about the meaning. It studies the meaning of words, sentences, and even paragraphs. So, we have its major types. First, the formal semantics, lexical semantics, and the last one is conceptual semantics. But this time, we will focus on lexical semantics. So, when we say lexical semantics, what does it mean? So, it studies the meaning of an individual word or word meaning. So do not get confused about what semantics and lexical semantics is. When we say semantics, it studies the meaning of sentences, but when we are dealing with lexical semantics, it's just about an individual word or the meaning of the word itself. So under lexical semantics, we have the lexemes. It's the fundamental unit of the word of a language. Basically, these are the head words that we could see in dictionaries. For example, the word play. It could be in a many form, like playing, plays, played, and player. The other example is he kicked the bucket. So if you can observe, there are two lexemes in that example, the words kick and bucket. But when we are dealing with lexical semantics, the words itself are being nullified and we're just sticking to the meaning itself, which corresponds to the meaning to die. Then let's proceed with the features of lexical semantics. The first one is we have the denotation. So I know that you are familiar with the meaning of denotation. It's the exact or literal meaning of a word. For example, the kid sat down in front of a warm fire. We have the word warm there. So, if we are to analyze its denotative meaning, the warm means an actual temperature or just a comfortably high temperature. If we are to seek the dictionary, it just pertains to the actual temperature. Next is the connotation, the positive or negative emotions associated with the word. So it's the opposite of denotation. So it's the personal definition of a person or the expression he is giving to that specific word. So we have the positive, neutral, and negative connotations. For example, we have the word old. If we're going to stick with positive connotation, its synonym is antique. While in negative connotation, it's decrepit. So when we say decrepit, it means wasted or weakened due to the old age or affected by the old age. We have the denotation versus connotation. So we have the example, she's my baby. In denotative meaning, baby means an infant, but in connotative meaning, it means girlfriend. So I know that maybe some of you have the endearment baby. Am I right? So the next feature of lexical semantics is the synonym. So I know that this is not a new thing for you to learn on, but still, let's take the example. And these are words with the same meaning. So the example there is the word intelligent. So it has a synonym of bright. The other synonym for intelligent is smart and knowledgeable. Then the next example is plentiful. It has a synonym of abundant. It could also be many. The next feature under lexical semantics is what we call homonymy. So these are words which have more than one meaning. Take note that homophones are the words with the same sound, while homographs are the words with the same spelling. Let's look at the example. We have the words ring and ring. So the first word ring pertains to the sound of a telephone, while the second ring, it means an accessory. So the next one is the polysymy. So these are words or phrases with different but related meanings. So in homonymy, these are the words that look alike but their meanings aren't related to each other. So in dealing with polysymy, these are the words with different but related meanings. So let's look at the example. Jane had a head injury and Jane is the head of the company. So the word head there has a different function. So the head in the first example pertains to the top part of our body, and the next example, head, pertains to a rank of an employee. However, despite that they differ in their usage, the meaning they are trying to convey are relevant to each other. Head, top, and the high rank. So it means in a top or a high level. So the meaning are truly relevant. The next one is the antonymy. So it's the opposite of synonyms. So these are words with opposite meanings. So we have three types of antonymy. The first one is the gradable antonyms. So this refers to the varying degrees of the property or quality. So it means that this kind of antonyms could be measured. We have the example old and young. So the other example is big and small, thick and thin. The next type is complementary opposition. So these are also called as binary or contradictory form. Two meanings do not live on a continuous spectrum. So in binary pairs, we have the examples. The in and out, backward and forward, bad and good, true or false. So you should remember that in complementary opposition, the first pair could just be guaranteed as true by the other pair. So if we're going to deal with our common sense, you cannot be in if you're out, or you cannot be awoke if you're asleep. You cannot be present if you are absent. We have the last type of antonymy, which is the relational opposition. So this refers to a relationship from opposite points of view. So we have the examples, teacher and student, parent and child. So you should remember that the distribution of relational opposition is often determined by the type of sentence in which they occur. For example, if the give appears in a sequence like Fatima gave chocolates to Ibrahim, its opposite can be used, when the sequence is reversed. Ibrahim received chocolates from Fatima. And the last feature under the lexical semantics is what we call the hyponymy. So these are the classes of items which are semantically compatible. So take note of the term hypernym, which means the generic term or the supertype, while hyponym is the specific or the subtype, from general to specific, from specific to general. Let's look at example flower. If you say flower, there are lots of flowers. So the flower could be referred as the hypernym, and the rose and the tulips are the hyponym. And the flower could also be classified as a plant. Flower could be a hyponym of a plant, while the plant is the hypernym.
Candidate number 2, Muslani Angel Gonzalez.
Would you like to dramatically improve your fluency when speaking English and sound more like a native speaker? Then, focus on collocation. Words combination is also known collocation, that is often used with another word or phrase in a way that sounds correct to people who have spoken the language all their lives. It means that some words fit together and some words don't fit together. Example, fast food. We don't say quick food. Fast and quick are synonyms. They are the same thing but they go the other way, sometimes in the terms of usage and context. Saying fast food sounds better rather than saying quick food, as it just sounds very natural. In short, fast food is natural English, while the quick food is unnatural English. Collocations are common terms used together. Here are the classification of collocation. First one is adverb and adjective. Example, highly recommended. Highly is an adverb and recommended is adjective. Second, adjective plus noun. Example, heavy traffic, maiden voyage. Third one, noun plus noun. Example, bars of soup, ceasefire agreement. Next is noun plus verb. Example, plane took off, snow was falling. 5. Verb plus noun. Example, committing murder, making my bed. Next is verb plus expression with position. Example, out of money, filled with honor. 7. Verb plus adverb or adverb plus verb. Example, whispered softly, speak loudly.
And the last candidate, but definitely not the least, Miss Sophia Rose Marcel.
An important feature of modern stylistic is the way in which it employs pedagogical techniques commonly used in the fields of applied linguistic and English language teaching. In the past year, it has imported a range of such methodologies, including two-well-like techniques for analyzing collocation and lexical semantics. Those techniques are multiple choice, questions, and closed procedures. The two techniques entail leaving blanks in a syntagmatic chain and asking students or informants to guess what kinds of entries would fit that specific grammatical context. The first technique for stylistic analysis is closed procedure, or you may call it dose test. Dose test is the removal of specific words from a sequence with the intention of eliciting prediction about appropriate paradigmatic entries. The closed test has two types. The first one is closed paragraphs. Closed paragraphs involve a chunk of text with entire word omitted. For example, it was a blank night. The wind was blank around the blank as I stepped out of the blank and into the blank. The second type of closed procedure is closed words. Closed words involve letters being removed from particular words in a passage of text. You can read the example. Next, there are three principal ways of using closed procedure. The first one, language teaching tool. You can use the closed procedure as a language teaching tool because it helps to improve native language reading in a practice known as incremental reading. Incremental reading means reading in portions. This strategy works by keeping a big reading list of electronic articles or books, typically dozens or hundreds of them, and reading portions of numerous articles in each session rather than reading articles one at a time in a linear fashion. Second one, you can use the close procedure as a vocabulary testing device because it can be used to bolster vocabulary usage and recall, reinforce grammatical knowledge and structural recognition, and strengthen overall comprehension. In this sense, the close test is quite effective at eliminating the idea of the lexical set. Lexical set is a collection of items that are semantically compatible and are closely related to a specific topic or register. The third one is you can use the close procedure as a tool for linguistic research by requesting lexical collocation prediction from informants. No preconceived notion regarding correct and wrong close test responses are made in this style of research. Rather, the answers themselves serve as the mathematical foundation for elucidating which item correlate with which. The stylistic application of the close method is thus the most significant for our current aims. In this situation, close is a fruitful method of navigating the space between what we anticipate from a book and what the author actually writes. Because it requires students to provide a partial analysis of the text before ever seeing the full version, it also shifts the focus of interpretation. Moreover, close procedure generates a new focus for interpretation since it requires pupils to offer a preliminary examination of the text before actually viewing the finished product. But in stylistic application, close is definitely not utilized as a language proficiency test. Contrarily, it merely asks informants for their interpretation of a text that aren't always accurate, regarded as right or wrong. The second technique for stylistic analysis is multiple choice type or procedure. Like the close test can be used to investigate virtually all the lexical semantics topics introduced in this chapter. Multiple choice tests as well as the close test can also be used to investigate a specific feature of vocabulary that has not yet been covered in this chapter. It can aid in the identification of key vocabulary. The core words of language are those that have a particularly wide distribution and usage. They have a broad collocational range and can combine syntagmatically with many other words. For one thing, claiming that collocational clashes are a new language completely negates the 11th stylistic effect. Deviant patterns have an interlinguistic impact because of their interaction with other elements within a specific language. If they did, in fact, constitute a new language, defining them would be similar to accounting for formal differences between, say, French and English.
Wow! We have all witnessed the wits that our candidates possess, but still, a queen should be tested more in their thoughts and expression. I present to you the reigning queen, Miss Maris Montaño, our Miss World 2021.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Miss World 2022 question and answer portion. May I call on candidate number 1 to answer the first question. What is the importance of lexical semantics in learning language?
The significance of learning lexical semantics is to understand the cognition as it teaches us how thoughts and perceptions of human fall under a good organization. Moreover, it also allows every learner to produce reference points for words, thus, another meaning for our language will be added. And I thank you.
Candidate number 2. Why is it important to learn words and combinations?
Word combinations, or also known as collocation, allow us to understand how words are used together and what those words mean. It is useful in developing knowledge and skills in multiple aspects of language and literacy. And I thank you.
And the last question goes to candidate number 3. Why should we learn stylistics analysis?
It's a mere fact that stylistic analysis is a great learner. As what Priya Sharma stated, it has two major goals. First,
to help the readers in making a meaningful interpretation of the text. The second one is to expand the knowledge and awareness of language, helping us to read and study literature with excellent language practice. And I thank you.
This is the end of the golden rule to the crowd. We've reached the finish line as we are now about to announce the winners of the virtual pageant. I know everyone's excited, so good luck, girls. May the best candidate wins. Ladies and gentlemen, our Miss World 2022 is...